everybody, welcome back to the Beyond the Peloton podcast. I'm Spencer Martin from the Beyond the Peloton Newsletter. Unfortunately, my co-host Andrew Vontz is off on a super top secret mission to Bentonville, Arkansas, and the Kansas City metro area this week, doing some very important research he will share with us when he returns next week for our regular episode. But to fill things in his absence, I tracked down Israel Premier Tech writer Riley Sheehan at his training camp in the high Pyrenees in Andorra, and we will talk about his surprisingly great spring classic season, his 13th place at Flanders, his first time racing Paris-Roubaix, and what his plans are for the coming summer season, and really just an inside look at I guess the unglamorous life of a training camp, of a pro cyclist at a training camp. Before we get into that, let's talk a little bit. I just have a few things to say about Amstel Gold, where Tom Pidcock upset major pre-race favorite Mathieu van der Poel. My cliff notes on this, I'll include my full race breakdown in the newsletter in the show notes, but my cliff notes would be, it did look like Van der Poel. Going into the race, I thought, well, there's no way he loses this because he's just so much better than everyone, especially on a course that hard, he can just ride away. But you could see that there is actually a toll to just riding away solo for 50 plus K out every race for the last few weeks. And I thought him and Alpecin looked a little fatigued, actually, probably from Roubaix. They were probably still a little drained from that effort. And not only just the physical effort of ripping over the cobblestones and shredding everybody in the group, but just the emotional letdown of winning the first three monuments of the season. They looked like they just were not at their tippy top. And one example of that is they catch the breakaway early, and then they work pretty hard. There's some attacks, and right immediately you start thinking, this could get tricky. Like Quick Step's really active with attacks, and a couple riders get up the road, and they are really aggressive in closing the gap down. Close. They get it within like 8 seconds. Richard Carapaz attacks, which is interesting because he's on EF, and his EF teammate Mikel Honoré was up the road. So it's just like, by the book, you'd say you shouldn't do that, but he clearly knew that Honoré maybe isn't the option they wanted up there because he would be dropped later. But Van der Poel follows Carapaz, doesn't relay through with him, which tells you right there, like, well, that's odd because your team just worked so hard to get this gap close. You need to get across it, because if you don't get across it, what happened was Van der Poel shut down that Carapaz move, essentially, and then you're in danger land because it's 9-10 second gap to the riders up the road. The pace is off because your team is tired, gone, essentially, because of the work they just did to close the gap that close. And riders are going to start jumping across to that group because once they get up to that group, they have allies to work with all the way to the finish line. That's exactly what happened. Mark Hirschi made the first move, jumped across, and then you get just a plethora of strong riders like Matteo Jorgensen and others going with him. It's real, like, this is danger scenarios for someone like Van der Poel. And meanwhile, he's sitting in the group, isolated from his team, I guess hoping that someone would take control of it and pull it back. With around 31K to go, Tom Pidcock smartly realizes something's not quite right with Van der Poel. This is not the normal Mathieu van der Poel. And this is my last chance to win this race because this move is good. This is the winning move. And this isn't, you have two options in racing. You can jump and be in every move, or you can sit back and wait for the winning move to form when you realize it's the winning move. And you have to realize it quick enough, because if you realize it too late, you won't be able to make the bridge. But if you have a good sense of reading that and you're strong enough to bridge across, you can do this. And Pidcock realized the last second, like, okay, that's the winning move. I'm going to go. He slips off the front with Tej Benoot. Him and Tej Benoot bridge up to the chase group. The chase group eventually catches the breakaway. And that's it. They never got a major gap, but there just wasn't. Van der Poel didn't have a team left to pull. EF got things together and pulled for Maren Vandenberg, who's a good sprinter. And, that was a good strategy, but then Vandenberg crashed. So that wasn't good. That dented it. But they just, they could never reel him in. They got within around 10 seconds at the finish. But, the Pidcock group split up. The front group split up when Mark Hirschi was attacking. And, that's like another fortunate thing for Pidcock. He just read it perfectly. He thought, Hirschi doesn't want to go the line with this young French guy, Paul Lepera, who is really, really a fast finisher. So they didn't want to finish the race with him. Pidcock goes with them. It's Hirschi, Moran van Summeren from Quick Step, Tej Benoot, and Pidcock, and they're rotating through incredibly well. Like that chase group kind of catches them at the end, but never really fully catches them to contest the sprint. And really, it's just because they worked so seamlessly together, they're able to hold off the peloton with Van der Poel and Pidcock. Benoot goes early because he's the slowest sprinter in the group, so his only chance is to just catch them out, get a gap they can't close down. But Pidcock marks it perfectly, wins the sprint. Big win for him. You do kind of wonder, I have been pretty critical of Tom Pidcock, maybe unfairly, because he wins this race and now looks like his career's back on track. I believe it was only his 5th career win, though. He doesn't win that often. And if we assume that he would have won the 2021 Amstel Gold had they done the photo finish correctly, then he's kind of ended where he began. You know, has he really progressed on that team? If like he's like almost genetically designed to win Amstel Gold. So not shocking. He's won this. He's finished 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in the last 4 editions. So that was really, really well here. Great win, not to take anything away from him. And it's huge for Ineos. They had only had, I believe, 2 other World Tour wins on the year. So they needed this win. This gets their season back on track. It shows that Pidcock is building well into the summer. He has incredibly big ambitions for the summer, wanting to do the Olympic mountain bike race, wanting to ride GC at the Tour de France. I assume wanting to compete for the World Championships in road cycling. So a lot going on there. This shows that he is fit and ready to go. Maybe he wins Liège on Sunday, and then it's like, wow, this guy is emerging as a superstar. But he and others around him consider him in the same sphere as Van der Poel, Van Aert, Tadej Pogacar, Remco Evenepoel, etc. The big 6, Jonas Vingegaard, Primož Roglic. But he's not winning currently at the rate to justify that. So maybe this kicks things off, but I've just been, he does do a lot of disciplines, so that explains some of the inconsistency. But I've flagged the just up and down nature of his career as something to keep an eye on. This is an up for sure, but let's see where he goes from here. I am very curious to see how he does at Liège. I do think Pogacar is just on a completely different level. And when he wants to go, he's going to go, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. But maybe I can be proven wrong, and we'll see Pidcock challenge him. That would be pretty interesting. Okay, one other thing. La Flèche Wallonne yesterday. Really hard race. It's always a pretty hard race, but it was such a hard final climb, and it's 3 laps on this circuit that do the final climb 3 times. It usually just comes down. It's just a ramp test up to the finish line. There's 100 riders at the bottom. You have to watch the last 10 minutes of it. It's great. But things went sideways, literally sideways, because it was sunny and then it was sleeting sideways. It was coming down so hard, then it was just dumping rain. Riders were frozen like popsicles, having to be carried under the team car. There was 30 riders left in the front group with 60K to go. Uno X, interestingly, the Norwegian team, appeared to be incredibly bundled up, was not caught out by the weather at all. I know a lot of those guys train in incredibly cold weather, and it showed. They didn't seem to be phased at all. Really held the race together. It could have been even more chaotic had they not been there. A little unclear to me why they did that. I guess they had a shot with Tobias Johansson. I think he ended up finishing 7th, so pretty good result. But, Søren Kragh Andersen attacks from Alpecin to Koenig. I think too far out. There's around 55K out. I think if he waits until the next lap and attacks with, let's say, the same spot 1 lap later, so around 27K to go, he could have stuck that move. But he attacks. He gets a little over a minute. Stephen Williams from Israel Premier Tech attacks this on the second lap, the second climb of the Mur de Huy. It's incredibly steep climb, average 20%. He gets away. He's in a chase group. They get caught. So you'd think, okay, game over. They wasted too much energy. I almost think, though, they stayed warm. The benefits of staying warm in that group outweighed the negatives of being tired. And he gets to the base of the final climb of the Mur de Huy for the last K and is looking really good, sitting in perfect position, just super relaxed. Just sits right back there, leaves himself space to go on the left when he's ready to go, and I'll outline this all in today's newsletter for premium subscribers. And when he goes, no one can go with him. He goes 250 meters out, which doesn't sound like a lot, but on an uphill like that, it was about a minute effort, and he must have, I bet he did 600-700 watts for a minute, because the guy was flying in the last minute of that race. Kevin Vaclan from Arkea B&B, a really good French rider, and Maxime Van Gils from Lotto, a really good young Belgian rider. make a valiant effort to chase him down. Kevin actually got pretty close to him, but Williams just timed it perfectly, wins the race. Continues a great season for Israel Premier Tech. I mean, they seem to be not be able to put a foot wrong, and kind of reminds us all just how good Stephen Williams, I guess he goes by Stevie Williams, 27 years old, is. He won Tour Down Under with some great climbing performances at the end of that race. He finished fourth on the final day of Volta at Catalunya this year, where Tadej Pogacar went to the line with him and won in a sprint, but he couldn't drop Stevie Williams. And we see today that Stevie Williams, pretty dang good climber. I always thought of him as like a reduced bunch sprinter before this, but just is clearly talented all-around rider, capable of more than we previously thought, and potentially just better on cold days because guys were freezing. Williams looked unfazed, clearly the strongest rider if he could attack that far out, go in an escape, go in like a breakaway, a chase group, and then be caught and then regroup and win the race. But I do think staying warm helped him a lot. You know, it's kind of how everything gets flipped on its head when you get a race where the weather gets that bad because you think, oh, you don't want to be out there wasting energy. But, you know, your rivals are sitting back in the peloton. Yeah, they're saving energy, but they're freezing in the draft. And you're out there staying a lot warmer, keeping your body a lot more primed for that final kick to the finish. And it worked out. So it was great to see. And then we have Liège on Sunday. As I said, I'm excited to see Tadej Pogacar back in action against Mathieu van der Poel. I don't think Mathieu van der Poel will win. I think that's just too much. You know, that's stretching form too long. He got sixth here in 2020, but it was a different race. That was a weird year. And he was climbing incredibly well in 2020. We don't talk enough about how well he was climbing in 2020. He got 10th at Lombardia, 6th at Liège. I think he's a better rider now. It's not even a question. I don't know. I just don't know if he's as good at climbing as he was in that year. I don't totally know what was going on then, but he seems to be more powerful now, but maybe not as good on the climbs. But we'll see. I think Tom Pidcock, Van der Poel, maybe Ben Healy, the only riders that can contend with Pogacar. But realistically, if he doesn't crash and when he's going to go when he wants to go, and I don't see anyone staying with him. So I'll detail that a little bit more in tomorrow's weekend preview newsletter. But let's get to Riley and his high altitude training camp, and I hope you enjoy the conversation. Hey, Riley, thanks for joining us after your busy and I would say incredibly successful classic season. 13th at Flanders is really impressive. I incorrectly said it was your first monument, and then our friend Kevin Sulker pointed out, no, in fact, you did Milano San Remo, but I believe it was your fifth. It was your fifth ever World Tour race, which is crazy. Like we could go back through the numbers and like come up with some power ranking of riders, World Tour races completed versus top results and top World Tour races, and that's probably up there with some of the best of all time. So many congratulations on that. But now you're high in the Andorran Pyrenees at a training camp. Is that correct? A high altitude training camp?
Yeah, pretty much it's just me and one other teammate. We had some time off from racing. Well, he didn't. He got thrown into Amstel and Flesh actually, and just got here today. But yeah, we're just hanging out up here, getting some good training in before some racing. Because yeah, I saw a nice 3-week window of no racing for me, and might as well take advantage of it and get all the gains possible.
How does that work? Is that like a team sanctioned training camp, or you just decide I want to get up to altitude, I'm going to pop on hotel tonight and book a chalet?
Yeah, pretty much. Kind of talked with the team about it, and my performance group and everything, and planned out if it was a good idea or not. And yeah, a bit of on my own as well as getting involved with the team so everyone's on the same page. But yeah, I got staying at the hotel at the highest point here. So first few nights were pretty terrible, but and days too. But thankfully I'm getting used to the thin air and loving it.
How high is that?
Uh, we are right at 2,400 meters, so pretty high. What's that, like 8,000 feet?
It's probably
But
8,000. Yeah.
yeah, ballpark. But yeah, in Europe it's above tree line, and I got a big, I don't know, I got a big thing. I think like tree line means more than elevation. Like I think, man, 2,000 meters in Europe compared to 2,000 meters in Colorado is different. Like I do think there's it's hard either way, but man, I think there's something about the tree line. I don't know. Trees produce oxygen. could just be bro science. I just could be I don't know. But yeah, there's something to it, I think.
I was gonna say this is verging into Belgian science territory. Like your
Exactly. Yeah,
Belgian
yeah.
coach, oh, you need to be around the trees to have the air. That is kind of, I think,
Yeah.
just mentally too, because my house is probably close to 2,000 meters, and I don't even feel like I live in the mountains. But it must be the mental. It must take a mental toll. Like, so you're just in a hotel by yourself, soon to be one other person, above tree line. Like, do you think people kind of go crazy at these training camps after a long time up there?
For sure. I mean, yeah. Like where we are, like I look out the window and I just see well, I just see snow right now. But yeah, there's a gas station across the street and it's just the hotel and some ski lifts nearby. So like you're either on your bike and that's when you feel sane, and then when you're up here you're like, okay, what do I do? All right,
Yeah.
what should I watch on Netflix? Or so yeah, I do think maybe there's a bit of, going crazy, but I don't think I'm going to be up here long enough to go crazy, thankfully. So
I was like, I don't know if you're familiar with like Mount Lemon in Arizona, but
yeah.
like Lance would talk about going up and staying at the top, for a long time, like 2, 3 weeks. It's just like it kind of hit home for me. Like, I don't know what I would do on the top of Lemon for 3 weeks. Now with kids, it sounds fantastic. Send me up there. Send me to the tippy top of the Sierra Nevada. I'm having a good time. But if you have any other options, that's a little bleak. I am curious how, it seemed like Tenerife was like the big training altitude camp place for a while. Sierra Nevada in Spain, I know there's like facilities up there. So like, it's like almost like a community of endurance athletes hanging up there training. But like, how do you guys pick? And then like Larry Warbus, I saw recently was on Mount Etna in Sicily, which I had never heard of anyone doing a training camp there before, but it makes
Yeah,
sense because
well,
there's a lot of roads and it's probably pretty warm. But how do you guys pick that? Like, what's the process there?
for me up here was just out of conveniency. It's like a relatively quick drive to from Girona. So it's kind of straightforward there. But in terms of the rest of it, I don't know. Like the Sierra Nevada, I think right now, since it's Olympic year, like to book, like to get a place, like you got to know somebody because it's all
Really?
fully booked and everything. Because their facilities, I think up there are incredible. And then yeah, Andorra is great because a bunch of cyclists are up here too, that just live up here. And then easy to drop down to lower elevation for training. I mean, yeah, there's so many places. There's Livigno in Italy. Um, yeah, so I think I'll be there in July, actually in Livigno, but because right now it's probably just as snowy,
Yeah.
if not snowier than here, but completely unrideable because yeah, that's full snow. But yeah, I don't really know how most teams choose it. Maybe out of conveniency, getting everyone rallied together. Got to find an airport nearby. Hotel, food at the hotel. Yeah, all of the I think mostly there's a bunch of spots now, but it's kind of a conveniency almost. And what's not fully booked, I think, especially this Olympic year.
I'm sure you've heard about it by now, but I remember after Perry Nice, I was talking to Matteo Jorgensen, and he was saying, the difference. Like Movistar kind of seems like a team that, like, and I say this all due respect to Movistar. It's just kind of like you do whatever you want. You want to train like that. Like there's no performance staff. Just like
Hmm.
choose your own adventure. And then he went to
Exactly.
Visma, and he said they were, going up to Sierra Nevada, and they wouldn't let Visma take chefs into the kitchens in the hotel. So the team like built their own kind of like lean-tos that operated as kitchens for the team up at the training camp. I mean, I have to imagine, like, do you think those little things make a difference, or is that just more performative that like, oh, I'm now motivated because the team is building a kitchen? Or do you think you would perform just as well like eating the hotel food?
I mean, sometimes the hotel food can be, your chicken can be well beyond done, and your pasta can be well beyond done as well. So, I mean, definitely, I think having a chef, um, who's works with a nutritionist can be super good. I mean, this year I've started to work with a nutritionist a bunch and really dialed in the fueling and everything, and it's made a huge difference. And then at the races when we have a chef, who's also a nutritionist all works together. It's they can kind of be creative, make the meals a little more exciting. It's not just chicken and rice, chicken and pasta. And so I do think like on the nutrition side, yeah, having your own chef and everything can make a massive difference. I mean, the hotels are going to give you the same stuff almost every day. It could be pretty good stuff too, but you can really, make sure your pasta doesn't have like 80 grams of olive oil on it,
Yeah,
so you're
yeah.
having like all these calories that you didn't even realize or whatnot. So yeah, having the nutritionist and chef that work together, I think, is kind of a game changer, really.
And how does that work? Is that nutritionist through the team? Like, is your training apparatus and then nutrition all just through Israel Premier Tech?
Yeah, pretty much. It's 100% through the team. So yeah, she'll see my training peaks, and see, okay, how many calories I did, what type of, she'll see all of that, and each day I get a general plan of what to do and the macros to hit and everything, and it's pretty intense right now, but I've asked for that, and I can have it as intense or pretty broad as well. I could just, she could tell me, okay, big ride today, aim for high carbs, or she could be like, okay, for breakfast, try to have this with this many grams here and this. Yeah. So I've a lot of freedom with it. It's kind of, based off of motivation, how much intense I want to be with it. But yeah, everything through the team. And I think it's really good through the team because, I mean, then the coaches are on the same page, and the nutritionist can talk to the coaches, and everyone is yeah, speaking the same language.
Yeah, it's kind of like surprising to hear based on, I don't want to name names, but 10 years ago, say you'd hear stories about training setups at certain teams and you'd think that can't be right. That's probably lower than like the Boulder Junior Cycling setup is currently. So it's come a long way really fast. Um, and I guess on that note, your team, Israel Premier Tech, doing incredibly well this year. Like I would say, if we go back 2 years, it was very dependent on, to be kind, you'd say an aging core of riders. And then last year it was, you started to see like, oh, this is quite interesting. Like Derek G at the Giro, felt like he came out of nowhere. Guy was a stud at that race. They picked him up, felt like anyone could have had him, but they found G when he was younger, and probably, I think they just had a relationship with him. And then even yourself, like anyone could have signed you. They happen to sign you, and then you start producing these great results for the team. And then, yesterday, like Stevie Williams winning, and does he go by Stevie? I never quite know what to
Yeah,
say.
yeah,
Like,
Stevie.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay, you don't want to like shorten someoe's name without their consent. But, winning Flush Malone, and you were saying before we started recording, like he wins the race, only guy on the team to finish the race. So like you have to be so strong to do that. And he was attacking. I went back to rewatch the race because I was like, what the heck happened here? Why were there only 30 guys at the base of the final climb? And like he was off the front for a little bit. He attacked the last time up the final climb when they went over on one of the laps, and then just smoked everybody. It looked almost easy to him. Like, do you attribute that to just the team, like the professionalism inside the team, allowing you guys to outperform your budget, perhaps?
yeah. I think there's a lot to it, but especially in terms of the performance of the team and the staff we have. Like, man, the resources we have. I mean, it's my first year, so everything's new to me. But what I've heard is they've really stepped their game up with everything. I mean, training, nutrition, equipment, travel, all of that. It seems like they're really stepping it up. And then I also think, as a team, like the the team vibe is great. Like everyone gets along super well, and like yeah, I think now we have a bit more younger guys too, and we all feed off each other. And I mean, I bet the older guys are getting pretty motivated from that as well, or they're just motivated themselves. But no, I think yeah, this the whole environment in the team has, I think, really stepped itself up. And yeah, I mean, also like Stevie is just a badass, and like he kicked ass in down under in the heat. But yeah, he's a killer. Totally underrated rider. And yeah, especially when the weather gets a bit cold, he'll throw down. I mean, he won Norway last year, and it was pretty atrocious cold conditions there as well. So yeah.
I think he's Welsh, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I'd imagine he's riding in just terrible conditions all the time, being on that
Yeah.
west coast of the UK.
Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned that about Tour Down Under. Normally, I would almost invert it. So if you have a good Tour Down Under, there's a general rule of thumb of like, well, you're not going to see that guy again for the rest of the year. Like that's it. But he was incredible at Tour Down Under. Feels like half a year ago at this point.
Yeah.
But then he was pretty good at Catalunya. That final stage where Pogacar couldn't drop him, and then winning Flesh. I'm really shocked at how well he's been able to keep that form.
No, yeah, he's got it dialed. I mean, he's yeah, he's one of the, yeah, I think probably one of the harder working guys on the team, and I mean, he's I think he knows what works for him, and he sticks with it, and kind of, he'll do his own thing that he knows that works.
I'm a big believer of the vibes, team vibes as well. I think this is
Totally.
like one of the most
Oh yeah.
underrated things in sports. And you
Yes.
mentioned the age, and they have like the team is really, it seemed like, worked to. It used to be the oldest team in the sport, and they've really worked to have a like a younger core. I'm even just looking at a list of all the riders with the age next to them, and it's shocking how young some of these productive riders are. And like, what type of vibe does that create inside the team? Like, do you think is Simon Clark like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm here with all these kids, or as you say, is it like motivating because like I can't get my butt kicked by all these kids. This is embarrassing.
No, I think it's motivating, and especially like, I mean, we need guys like Simon. Like he is so valuable. Like yeah, without the, guys like Simon or Woods, um yeah, like they have so much experience, and they've been working for it for years. And I mean, we're all pretty new, and young bucks, I guess you could say, and super motivated. But they've done these races tons of times. I mean, doing the classics was great with like Guillaume Boivin, for example. He's done these so many times, and that, like, he's telling me, okay, here in the race, it'll like, it's just great to have, the older guys are just as valuable as the, I guess, super motivated, stronger younger guys. Like, because you got to be able to yeah, know what's coming in the races. Just having the experience is sometimes, I think, half the race.
It's humbling, yeah, to think that Guillaume is a veteran rider. I remember I was like, man, this kid's really good. I wonder, I was always trying to not be beaten by him because I thought he was so young and it was embarrassing. But now I'm looking at he's the fifth oldest guy in the team. Holy smokes, time flies. But to step back a little bit, go back to the classics. So you do, kind of this early season, do Tour de la Provence, and then you do Omloop, Kern, and then you do the Italian classics, and then you go into like the Flanders Shuffle, ending at Roubaix. Like, what were your expectations for Flanders? Like, what did you think about Omloop and Kern? Because that was probably your first introduction to World Tour Classics racing, I assume. Like, how was that transition compared to what you've done in the past?
Yeah, Omloop was man, that was torture. I felt horrible, man. I was coming back from last day of Provence. I got super sick. Was like, couldn't even start the stage, vomiting, all sorts of. Yeah, I was like fourth in GC. I had a great start to the season, then couldn't even start. To
Oh, that
you
sucks.
know, yeah, yeah. Anyway, so I was like super hungry, but I just had all this. I was coming back from, like, totally lost all the form to opening weekend. So yeah, Omloop, I just remember from the gun, I was just on the limit, like, felt like I was in a TT or was doing like a power test, but it just wasn't ending. I was just like, okay, at some point, it'll like chill out, I'll be able to catch my breath. But it's like, you're in freaking Belgium, man. It's just there's, corners, up, down, cobbles, and just it's a fight, it's especially a fight in Belgium. And yeah, that was opening weekend, really it freaked me out, honestly. The next day in Kern, I was a bit better because I think I was a little mentally prepared. But yeah, it kind of freaked me out. I was kind of like, oh geez, I got some work to do, unless or else I'm in for a lot of suffering. I mean, I still was in for a lot of suffering no matter what. And then yeah, Italian classics still kind of coming back to form. And then yeah, around like the E3 Doors Door, I started to feel a lot better again, and some misfortune there, and I mean just learning the roads. But yeah, coming into Flanders, I was actually super stoked because I was just feeling way better each race, and I, Flanders was the first time I was like, okay, I actually know these roads. I know it when they say, you know, Quaremont. I mean, I know what the Quaremont is, of course, but like, the Hotonberg or the Canaryberg or whatever. I'm like, okay, I can picture that. I've done that before. I know the lead into that. Okay, I know I need to be in the position here. Okay, we have this big road, but so it's like the first time I actually was like, okay, cool. I actually know what to expect. I have good legs. I was like, yeah, it's Flanders, like a monument, and it's probably the, like kind of the biggest race I'm gonna do. But yeah, it was kind of the one I was like most confident about, I guess, and like least stressed because actually had some experience to back myself up with, and then yeah, throughout the race it was just yeah, brutal, probably harder than opening weekend for sure, but it was nice. I could see the front of the race at least, I could see Vanderpool's white shorts.
Well, you're describing like a 4-year process that you did in the course of 4 weeks, where it's like, oh yeah, opening weekend was hard. I thought Belgian racing was tough. By the time Flanders rolls around, I kind of had it figured out. Like, Vanderpool's up there, stay close to him. What I mean, that race was nuts. Like, I think the winning move, I'm trying to think, I think it was about 55K out on the Koppenberg. Did you, like, when you got to the Koppenberg, did you have to walk up that? Did everyone basically except Pedersen, Jorgensen, and Vanderpool have to walk up?
Yeah. Oh man, oh, that sucked. Yeah, I had to walk up that unfortunately. I was actually I was passing a bunch of guys, kind of just staying steady. It's like, okay, good control. I've done the cyclocross in the past. I keeping the weight on the rear wheel, doing good. And then like Rasmus Tiller and Uno X just comes and like, I don't know what maybe he just lost balance or like just gonna try to like paper boy it or something, which didn't work out, and just like chops me and like, ah. So then I'm having to run, walk in it and road shoes, and it's slippery, and you can't like put your toe. You have to like use your heels, and oh man, cramping like crazy in the legs, like trying to run walk up that thing. Um, yeah, that was awful. That was. I remember thinking in my head like, this is this is abusive. Like this isn't good. Like this is a dark moment. Like man, I want to get through this. Like yeah,
And what's crazy about Flanders is George Hincapie always says this, like, you just can't stop riding because you think how slow you're going when you're walking and you're 55K from the end of a big race. And you're like, well, I'm out of it. Like, there's nothing to salvage here. I'm walking, going in road shoes. And I think next year you're going to see everyone's going to change to mountain bike shoes, like 10K before the Koppenberg. And you're going to see people like sprinting up the Koppenberg on mountain bike shoes.
exactly.
There'll be huge crashes as everyone's trying to change shoes at 60K an hour. But how do you recover from that? You get to the top, like, do you think there's any hope left, or are you just telling yourself like, keep going, just keep going and see what happens?
Yeah, like in that race, I mean, on my end of it, I barely touched my nose in the wind, but I knew, like, yeah, I just knew from these races, like, and how long this one is. Around 55K to go is where a lot of people start falling apart. And like, most races end around 200K, and this one's 260K.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, it came down to like, I almost think like, how bad do you want it? And you just had to, I just had to keep pushing because I knew I was like, all right, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up. Okay, Vanderpool's only at that moment was only right up there. I was at the bottom of the Koppenberg. He was riding over the top, but I mean, it was it was just like, okay, I just got to keep, yeah, just keep swimming, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And this is something I kind of debate about with people and think a lot about. But like the rise of VeloViewer, for those who don't know, it's like a computer program basically that allows you to insert a GPS file and then see the route in detail. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys have like long pre-race meetings, right? Where you look at all the important parts of the route on VeloViewer. there's a debate, or I guess a school of thought that knowing the roads and reconning the roads is not important anymore because everybody knows them. So there's no local advantage. But going back to what you say about, like the Canary Berg, I'm the same way as you. I can hear about these things all day. If I don't see them, I have a really hard time soaking that information in. So, do you think that there's still an advantage, like knowing the course, having seen it versus just sitting in a 50-minute team meeting, which I think you'll probably agree, like a lot of professional athletes probably don't like sitting for almost an hour soaking in information and might drift off perhaps in the middle of that?
Yeah, no, completely. I feel like there's almost like three tiers to it. Like there's okay, you had VeloViewer, it's great, general, but I think there's so much more to it. And then there's doing the recon, which we did, and the recon was super valuable because you can actually see it in person. And we'd have Seth Van Marke, our director, but he just do the recon riding with us. So he's like telling, okay, you need to be here then, and
Yeah.
this is what happens. This is what happened, and this time when I did it, last year. So the recon is, I mean, way more valuable than just the Vela viewer. And then and then the actual having the race experience, having raced on those roads is even more. So I think like I mean, from my point of view, that argument of like fellow viewer just taking all the credit. I mean, it's a super useful tool, but yeah, I think having race experience is you can't beat that.
Yeah, I even think about like racing up Left Hand Canyon in our town of Boulder, Colorado to like Jamestown. You could look at it on VeloViewer, but you probably know the climb so well. It's like, well, just push over here, and then it's a little bit easier, and then you push hard here. It's like knowing exactly when you have to push and when you can rest a little bit. I think that's so valuable that VeloViewer can't completely replace that.
Exactly. Yeah, I think just feeling the road surface too is huge. And okay, you got Street View, and that's great. But yeah, in the race, it's different when you have 180 guys around you and you're trying to like, okay, I can't remember which you got to have the experience of okay, which side of the road was good and what was the dynamic of the peloton there.
Yeah.
Or in VeloViewer, you're just like, cool, I see an open road, I got all the road I can see, there's no peloton dynamic or any of that. So,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I can move up easy. That road's huge.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
nearly a meter wide. There's plenty of room. And on road service, like so the team threw you into Paris Roubaix. What was that conversation like? Was it like, hey, you've never done this race before, but you're going to be great. You won Paris Tours, almost the same thing. Let's just get out there and see what you can do.
Yeah, yeah, I think the only thing similar is they have the name Perry, like Paris, and
And they both don't start in Paris.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I actually spoke about it, I think back in December. Sep, I was on a call with him, and he's like, "Yeah, so what do you think of Roubaix?" And I was like, what do you mean? Like, it's
Cool
probably one of
race,
the
right?
coolest. Yeah, like that was one of my favorite races growing up watching. Um, are you asking me like, do I want to do it? And he's like, yeah. I was like, I, I can't say no. I'm so naive to the reality of how freaking brutal it is, but yeah, I learned my lesson this year for sure. Like my hands are still still recovering from all the blisters and crap. So yeah. That was kind of crazy. Yeah, like just being on a call, like, hey, you want to do Roubaix? And being like, serious? Like, yeah, like I can't this is these are like this is dreams becoming reality, just being able to start these. So it's yeah, I can't say no. It's not like I grew up and did you know have seen this all or whatever, been a pro for years. It's like, you know I- to me it's like, do I even get this opportunity again? Like it's incredible just to yeah be a participant.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't say no to that. Did you go bare
Yeah.
hands like Vanderpool? No gloves?
No, so on the recon, well, I did two recons. One of them I went gloves and then switched halfway. And then recon, I did no gloves, and I had blisters on the recon. I was like, oh, not great. 2 days before the race, and I got blisters already. And then in the race, I went gloves, but I mean my gloves, for example, my gloves, I had holes in my gloves after just from so much
Oh my
of the
God.
friction. Like yeah, I don't know. I think Vanderpool's definitely got the class, and maybe I'm death gripping a bit too hard for sure. But yeah, he's got more than just the legs. He's got the class, and he just he rides the bike for sure. Like yeah, he's got it dialed obviously. But yeah, like I don't think he had any blisters at all, which I'm kind of jealous because my hands are all crusty and nasty from some blisters.
It is show you the class he has in the cobbles to be, you think how many people in that race have the same FTP as him? Maybe a few, like think of Josh Tarley, someone like that. But there's
Hmm.
just no one that has the Venn diagram of, are you just like floating over the cobblestones? That's what he looks like,
Exactly.
to the point where he's
Yeah.
not getting blisters on his hands. It's unbelievable and has the engine of a world class time trialist.
Yeah, yeah, and you watch the race on TV, and you always watch the front of the race, so you're always seeing, like growing up for me is watching like Tom Bonin on it, and I mean he just looks solid,
Yeah.
he's beating the shit out of the cobblestones, and like that, like man, the Roubaix ones are just, I really don't have words for, like it's not a road, it's just a line of rocks, like if I put a full sus mountain bike, I'd still feel like I'm on the wrong bike. Like
Oh
it's
my
just
God.
like I'm speechless how like terrible they feel. Yeah, and like for Vanderbilt just to have the class to just float over them pretty much is yeah, it's pretty cool to see.
And put his whole team on the front. They were breaking the race
Yeah.
up first sector. That's hard to do. It did. I watched Amstel and it did look like that maybe took a toll on them. They did not look like the same team a week later, which I wouldn't be surprised if physically they're just still pretty shredded from that. That was quite the effort. Were you just Roubaix? I would imagine is a race where just finishing inside the time limit is A, very difficult, and B, a major accomplishment. Like, were you just fighting, fighting, fighting all day to try to finish that?
Yeah, I mean I came into it which was kind of crazy as like a co-leader on the team, which yeah, wow. That was pretty awesome hearing that in the team meeting. But yeah, so coming to the first sector, I mean, it's like coming to a sprint finish. I've heard that from many other people, but it just is plain and simple. It's that intense, that fast, that chaotic. This crash is happening, just random points. That race just, yeah, it's just chaos. But yeah, first sector, I see like it's full gas. You're already like on the limit before the cobbles hit. And then first sector, I made it, avoided all the crashes. I was like top 30. I was like, okay, cool. Second sector, big crash behind me. And then there was like this front group of 30. I look back, I'm like, crap, I'm the only Israel Premier Tech rider up here. Like, okay, this is not the greatest situation. We, it's a 28, 29 sector race. We're two in, and I'm the only guy left. Oh boy, like we're in for a long one. I can't believe the race has already started. Like on the first sector, it was, and then on that third sector, there was this crosswind, and yeah, Alps and kudos to them. I mean, they rode like they savages. Like they did it perfectly. I mean, there was a crosswind there, and yeah, I just trying to lead myself out into the start of the first sector. I mean, just to hold position. I think I had like a minute at 600 before the cobble sector. So
Oh my God.
it's just yeah, and then during that third sector, it was turned right halfway through or so, and then I just got straight ridden off the wheel and looked back and couldn't even see the second group. I think the gap was already 1 minute at that point. And then after that point, it was like, okay, let's just finish the race, which was kind of nuts because it was like, okay, 150K to go, or 140K to go, let's just try and finish the thing. Like, race is over already for me. Wow, that was Yeah, kind of demoralizing, but yeah, it felt good to finish the thing. Wow.
I don't think people fully understand. So 150K to go. We got to finish this. We're out. That's incredibly demoralizing. You only finished 12 minutes back, and to put that into perspective,
Yeah, only.
Jasper Philipson finished 3 minutes back, so like to fight 140K and stay that like close, it's really hard to do. That's what I'm like in awe of the sprinters on these mountain stages. Like if you put someone on a bike and you said finish within 25 minutes of Jonas, it'd be impossible. It's incredible they
Yeah.
can do that.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, yeah, and especially like, yeah, I mean, in Roubaix too, there's so many other variables like flat tires, broken wheels, crashes, and all that. And yeah, knock on wood, I only had one flat tire, so I think I actually was in compared to most people, I had a pretty like I don't know, pretty lucky Roubaix, only one flat tire, and it was like at the best point. It was right before this big open road, so I could just get behind the car and pace back in smoothly. I didn't have to, wasn't in the middle of a big cobble sector where I had to just stand there and wait for a neutral wheel or anything. So yeah.
No, that's really impressive. One flat tire. If we all went for a 260K ride, we might get a flat tire on the smoothest roads we could
Exactly.
find. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you kind of, I guess, tease this a little bit. And this might be a really dumb question, but I was someone brought up to me like, man, Riley, 13th at Flanders, finishing Roubaix. Less than a year ago, you were top 10ing the Littleton Crit, in Denver. Can't be many people that have ever like ever had that turn before. But what was the racing like? I was even just reflecting on what you were doing a year ago. Like you were probably at Joe Martin. I think you won Joe Martin last year.
Yep.
And that's like it's a big race. Like it's a race I grew up, wanting to do, and that was like the center point of my like racing season. But it's not Flanders, it's not Roubaix. How would you describe that step up? Is it just like, oh my, like as you said about Omloop, like, oh my God, this is so fast. I feel like I'm time trialing, but it's all day. Or is there any carryover and you feel like the racing last year helped you build into this?
Um, yeah, I do believe there is some carryover for sure. I mean, yeah, I really, I mean, just like the motivation and hunger I've had. I mean, especially last year. I mean, like it's sad to see the state of the cycling North America right now, and I'm extremely grateful for how the stars aligned for me. I mean, I put every ounce of energy I had to try and go pro, but I definitely had to have some stars align, things to work out. But yeah, I yeah, I can't believe how much it's progressed. I mean, I've had like had the luck to work with a bunch of good people, and then this year with the team and the support they have is has been massive. I have way less stress, and all like I'm training way better than ever. I've been healthier more than ever. I just consistency and my resources for um for anything has just been been damn near perfect. So I think yeah, having just being given the opportunity to like I'm not being held back in any way. I'm in a good environment, good culture I'm with, and yeah, it's been great because yeah, in the past I always struggled, and it's like, okay, can I not? And then yeah, once I've been given the resources, it's been really nice to, I don't know, like yeah, see massive improvements. And yeah, it's good to see because now it's super even more motivating to see a lot of progress. It's not just like that invisible progress that happens over years or months. I can see it race to race, which I don't think that happens very often, and it might not happen much more after this year. But yeah, wow, it feels pretty special. It's just yeah, big. Oh my gosh, it's kind of surprising myself a bit, but yeah, I'm working for it for sure.
I mean, if vibes are underrated, I also think staying healthy is maybe
Yeah.
the
Oh,
most
so
underrated
much.
thing in pro cycling. the fact that you haven't been sick, it really helps.
Well,
Like Max
yeah, yeah.
Shackman, like was incredible, and then I think he's just been sick for like 3 years, and you're like, not only are you not improving, you're digging yourself out of a hole to get back where you started, which makes it tough.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I got a stomach bug, in a race that prevented probably a really cool result, but I mean, considering that's all I've had has been pretty good. I mean, just taking all the precautions and yeah, I mean, health is a mix of luck and you know, taking care of yourself as well. So yeah, it's been good to have, a bunch of people who have my back in every uh every side of performance.
So before we let you go, what's the next few months look like for you? I mean, I see you have a few races on your schedule. I hate to even ask you about it, but Tour de France, Olympics, is that in the cards?
Um I mean, I want to.
It's just, yeah, to set the record straight, I'm willing to do
Yeah.
both races if
Yeah.
I have to for the
Yeah,
team.
exactly. I'm putting that out there. I'm all in for them. If it's like the Roubaix. So what do you think about Roubaix?
Yeah, Tour de France. Have you heard of it, Riley? Would you be
Yeah,
willing?
yeah. Yeah, no, super motivated for like yeah, for even you could say smaller races coming up. They still feel like big races for me. But yeah. Yeah, in about a little over a week here, I'll head back up to Belgium. Um where I seem I belong. Uh and I'll be doing the Famine Ardennes Classic. Pretty cool because it's a race I did as a stagiaire last year, but they just moved it to the spring. So I actually have previous experience in one of these races. So actually, yeah, extremely motivated for that. And then Eschborn Frankfurt World Tour race in Frankfurt, and then I'll have a Trobro Lyon, which I'm super keen for because I've actually done that race as well back in 2022. I mean, I did part of it, didn't finish, but yeah, no, these three races I'm super keen for, and then yeah, throughout that, then I think I got the Quatre Jours de Dunkirk, yeah, 4 days of Dunkirk, but it's not 4 days, it's like six
Yeah,
days.
one. Yeah, it moves. It's like a sandbar. You know, the number of days
Yeah,
of Dunkirk are always moving around.
yeah. So I kind of have like a I feel like after Strada Bianca, I have a latitude I can't go below. I just stay pretty far north. Like Frankfurt's as far south as I'll go. No, but I'm super psyched. Yeah, I mean, if I can pull off some good results, anything can happen. I mean, I have no idea what the Olympic qualifications have been. I think McNulty and Jorgensen are in, and I think we got 3 spots. But um, yeah, if anyone from USA Cycling's listening, I'm freaking keen. It doesn't overlap with anything in my schedule. Put me in.
How does that?
I'm all in.
It's kind of an odd process, and I feel like it changes every year. I feel like there's a court battle every year over it, and they kind of
Yeah.
slightly tweak it. Is it like, because there are benchmarks you hit, right, where you're an automatic lock, but then there's discretionary picks below that?
Yeah, exactly. I think there's the automatic, which I could be totally wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure like if you win a world tour race, um you get the automatic qualification, and that's during the Olympic year. I think that's it. I could totally be wrong. So
It's Frankfurt right there, man.
yeah, I know exactly. Game on,
Yeah.
all in. Yeah. So I think that's part of it, and then I heard something about time trial nationals at US Pro would be an auto, which is kind of interesting because I think McNulty. I mean, I think he's won a World Tour race. He's won a few races this year. Um, so I think he's autoed. I mean, he deserves to go, especially with his performance in Tokyo. So there could be like that one more spot. So I don't know if somebody's gonna just if McNulty wants to defend his TT title, and keep that one spot open, or who knows, somebody's gonna win a US Pro and punch their ticket for the TT. But I could be wrong on that part too. I need to look into it more honestly. But I think we got 3 spots, and there's one at the moment open. So yeah, Frankfurt. Yeah, gonna go full.
I do think you'd have a good chance even if you don't win Frankfurt. It's kind of an interesting race. I may be the only person in the world who likes Frankfurt, the city. But yeah, you're going to love your time there. It's fantastic. It's not
Yeah,
boring. Don't listen to anyone who says otherwise.
yeah.
Um,
I
I,
only know the airport, and I hate the airport. But hopefully, I'll take your word that the city's better. I mean, if it's better than the airport, then I'll be impressed. So
I think it's like known for burning out bankers. You know, like you get transferred there from London, which is a really interesting city, and then people are like, oh my god, I have to get out of this career because Frankfurt is so boring. But there's actually nice, it's nice like stuff around the city. You know, like you can live in a city and then you're riding, as you'll see, like it's like significant terrain, like right from the city center. So, um, give Frankfurt a chance, people, and Riley's gonna win that race, lock it up. It's like our injury and health thing. If you can just stay healthy and not injured, you do have a shot at the Olympics just generally. Because so many guys, I guess that's our last question. Are more people crashing than normal? It feels like everyone in the sport is currently injured except Matthew
yeah,
Van Der Poel and yourself.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm still, what's it? Yeah, 4 months and 18 days into my pro career. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of crashes going on. I mean, I don't have a good answer. I mean, there was the whole chicane debate for Roubaix. I remember that was going crazy. But yeah, it's kind of. I mean,
Wait,
from what
what'd you
I've
think of
heard,
the chicane? What are your reviews of the chicane?
I mean, I was in a pretty small group, so it didn't really. Somebody actually ate it after the chicane because they had. I mean, I shouldn't be laughing because they crashed, but there's like they left like the shoulder of the road after the chicane, like on the exit,
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
could like take it wide, and it was gravel. Somebody just like we didn't need to take that. Like we had enough space. Somebody took it and just washed out, which I was just like, oh, yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the chicane was fine. Um, I mean, I hadn't done it before, but I mean, I think it is safer, kind of slowing it down a bit. I mean, my thing is like, okay, the chicane is such a, what's that at most like 200 meters of the race, and the race was like 270K, and there's how many cobble sectors, and there's what like 50 some odd K of cobbles, and all the entrances to the other cobble sectors. Talk about the crashes on the. How about the entrance to the first like 2 sectors and the
It was
crashes that
probably going
happened
like
there?
70K an hour going on those
Yeah,
cobbles.
like there's like that's just like 1%, maybe not even 1% of the race. Like there's so much more out there. So was kind of I was kind of just laughing at all the kind of wasted Twitter energy on the chicane, because I was like, man, there's I'm a little more worried about like the other parts of the race than a chicane. Like there's some pretty gnarly cobbles.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. No, Twitter's always right. Twitter always puts the energy in the right place, and it's
exactly.
it's
Yeah,
never
yeah,
not that way. I mean, what do you think? Like Basque Country, I'm sure you saw that stage.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
is there any like what could be done? I guess to make that safer, like signage. Is it that simple, or pads? Or
Um,
don't.
yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, you could say pads, but I mean, yeah, 200 Ks of pads. Like, come on, like this got to be realistic. I mean, everyone's got Velo Viewer, so everyone's reconned it. I really hope I'm right with this, but I do think like that was a freak accident um in Basque. I really hope I'm right that it was just like a really unfortunate event. Because yeah, it sucks to see like the injuries come from that. And like yeah, one of my good friends, like Sean Quinn, he ate it hard and just hit his head hard, and
Yeah,
yeah, like collarbones are gonna break in the sport, but yeah, the head and seeing all that and all, yeah. Ugh. So I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that that was just a freak accident, not a trend of more crashes, and we'll see. Yeah, but for making it safer, I mean, it's hard. I mean, everyone, everyone studies the hell out of these races now. We have the good team briefings, all that. I mean, the road was clear there. Everyone races with the GPS. Yeah, there's it's just dangerous. I mean, maybe the whole peloton needs to be like, I mean, it's hard because it's so competitive, but yeah, on the descents, be like, okay, let's let's take it down a notch. No one's gonna win here. We're only gonna lose here. Um, yeah, I mean, this could be a hot take, and a lot of racers might not agree, but yeah, I mean, we don't have to get the KOM down every descent. Um, yeah,
Yeah, it's
but
funny. It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
my wife works in like de-escalating nuclear conflicts that could be go nuclear, but it's you could say the stakes are slightly different, but it's the same principle where everyone goes fast because they're afraid everyone else is going to go fast, which then collectively makes it more dangerous. It's like, well, if I actually go slow, I'm going to get left behind, so I have to go fast, and I have to go fast, and everyone goes fast, and then you're like careening down a hill probably a little bit too
yeah,
fast. And Larry Warbush told
exactly.
a really interesting story, and I'd never thought about this. Like, you'd think the GPS makes it safer. That's what I would assume. He said, though, like, do you remember this? The SRMs, I'd forgotten about this. Like, incredible power technology, kind of janky. And teams were running them until recently. There was no GPS on them. And he said one guy was like ripping down a descent. And they're like, what are you doing? How are you going this fast? He's like, I have a Garmin that tells me turn by turn directions. And that it significantly increased the speed people were able to descend. And that's just in the last few years. So I do kind of wonder if everyone having GPS, or as you say, like Velvy,
Yeah,
or knowing the course almost makes it more dangerous.
yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's yeah, I mean, yeah, now that we know, like we can send it a lot more. I mean, even on my ride today, I went on all these roads I'd never gone before, but I got the GPS and I can
Yeah.
zoom in, zoom out. I'm like, okay, cool, I got a switchback coming. I got to slow down. I no longer have those oh crap moments, So yeah, it's tricky, but yeah, maybe I don't know, maybe the Peloton can just come together and I mean, it seems like we have an extreme weather protocol, or sometimes the riders all, come together to, okay, we're not going to race with this weather, or something happens. I mean, the Peloton has, come to agreements with slowing down a race or whatever at some points, or stopping racing at some points as well. So maybe something can happen with that, but I mean, also it's racing. There's so much on the line that it's kind of hard to draw a line, and there's I totally see the other side of that argument. So yeah, it's yeah, it's tricky, but I mean, generally, the harder the race is, the safer it is. I mean, how many crashes happen on a super steep climb? Not really many. And then when it's easy, and you just need to worry about turning or whatever, descents are pretty dangerous. So I'm not saying let's make races even harder than they are, because I think they're hard enough. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Everything is a 20% gradient. How many big crashes do you ever see at a 20 on the Murder Hui? You never see them. So let's every race
yeah.
starts and finishes on that. One last question before you go. On the tour, how does that process work? I've often wondered about that, and I feel like it's changed a lot. Like, do you get a call of like, hey, these are the 15 riders we're thinking about, or is everyone just kind of in the dark until mid-June?
Um, I think yeah. I mean, I think especially with our team, anyone's got a shot really, because I mean we're not going to be going for GC. So it's let's pick the best guys. But no, the team has a plan. They set the whole plan at the beginning of the year. Okay, 15 guys. All right, here's the long list. And then, kind of, if you're not on the long list, I mean, you're left in the dark a bit. But I mean, everyone talks about, you know, who's going where and what races are happening. You're like, okay, these guys are doing the Giro, and they probably won't be doing the Tour because they might be doing the Vuelta as well, or they got whatever else going on. So it's kind of a bunch up to guessing, and you're in the dark a bit. But I don't know. In a sense, it's kind of nice to be in the dark because then you're like, oh, maybe I still have a chance. So yeah.
Yeah, there's like, do you know Will Friskhorn?
Mm-mm.
He owns like it used to be called Cured in Boulder, but it's not called that anymore. But there's like a documentary that I think probably 25 people have seen, but it's following them around like in the 2008 season on Garmin. And it like it just kind of feels like he's like minding his own business, and he gets a phone call from Jonathan Vaughters that's like, "You're going to the tour." And he's like, "Awesome. Like, that's great." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Did you have any advance notice on this?" Or like, "Now you just got to go." But I guess that's why you do the training. You stay in shape because you might get called mid-June and then you're
It,
rolling into the tour.
yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, Jake Stewart, who's up here in Andorra with me now. I mean, yeah, he was supposed to be here the whole time with me, but yeah, he got the last minute call up to Amstel, and then he's like, yeah, I'll be back after Amstel, and then he's like, actually, mate, I'm not gonna be there till Thursday because I gotta do flesh. So it's like, right on. Like, yeah, you can get called up any minute. I mean, it's yeah, you can get subbed in pretty quickly. It can be a overnight, so you kind of always got to be on your feet.
Well, thanks, Riley. We'll let you get to dinner. You're in the Spain orbit, but we don't want you to miss that wonderful hotel dinner.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully, the chicken's not overcooked and there's not 80 grams of olive oil on the pasta.
Exactly. Right on. Well, thank you. I'm psyched to be on here again, and yeah.
Yeah, good luck at the upcoming races. I'm actually really excited to watch you at Trello Beyond. I mean, that's a really cool race, and could suit you pretty well.
Yeah, looking forward to the chaos there. I mean, yeah, I think the chaos could suit me good if yeah, the luck is on my side. I mean, things can go sideways like Roubaix there as well. But yeah, can't wait. And then yeah, Frankfurt and yeah, can't wait. So looking forward to the races and yeah.
All right, well, have a great evening, and thanks so much.
Right on. Thanks, man.